Okay, I know, different setup. Thank you guys for being so patient. Um, I was actually traveling, and got back a little later than expected. So apologies for coming on late to this live. As you can see, I'm in a new setup, so had to kind of quickly put this together. So just bear with me for a second. But welcome back to another episode of the Courage series, jumping off the deep end, jumping into the deep end. I've been calling it different things since I've started. This is going to be the third episode of this. And ultimately, I created this series to highlight what lessons I had learned when I did something that I felt was courageous, which was hosting an event or trying to host an event for a very large organization and the event not happening, and how to look at that experience and try and find value from it and be able to look at it with confidence that something good actually did come out of it, even if the intended goal was not achieved. So, whether you're in a space where you're feeling maybe discouraged because you tried something, or maybe you're afraid to try something new, my goal is that this series encourages you that whatever the result may be, that you at least try, that you make the effort and give it your best, because you just don't know what the result will be. Sometimes we take risks and it works out, and in other times it doesn't. And we won't know. But the only thing that we can know is to actually just try in general. Right. So that's what this series is about. Sorry, trying to get this in order, but if it falls or whatever, just keep dealing with me. And we'll just continue moving forward. So, today we're going to be talking about, or I'm going to be actually encouraging you to stop hiding. This is not necessarily a lesson that was learned from the previous, example that I just gave. It's actually just something that has been coming up lately in conversation. I put a poll out on Instagram, and I also have asked people who are in, who know the brand Luxury State of Mind, what is something that they resonate with? Is it that they're trying to pivot in life, or are they trying to stop hiding? Some of us may be trying to, pivot to something new. We want the courage to be able to do something different and new. And then for some of us, we know what we're supposed to be doing, but we're just afraid to do that thing, right? So, my goal is that you would feel encouraged, because to stop hiding. So a lot of the people that I spoke with, their responses were they feel like they're hiding, and even in normal day, they know that they're supposed to be doing something. They know that they're supposed to move forward in doing something, but they just feel safer staying in one place and doing one thing, or being being comfortable, and not moving forward. So I just kind of want to share, how through the experiences of creating Luxury State of Mind, how in a way this came to be. And hopefully that encourages you. And we're going to be talking just different ways how you can overcome this thing of hiding, because it is possible that your next step, where you're supposed to be going in the next phase of your life, is on you taking your next move, or stepping out in courage, or doing something new. But if you are hiding, meaning you're hiding in plain sight, hiding your gifts, not showing up, afraid to change, afraid to just show the fullness of who you are, then you may not progress to your next step as quickly or as efficiently as you would have liked, right? So, one of the things that I think about when it comes to not trying to hide, how do you stop hiding, right? How can you get to your next level, by not hiding? One of the things is having vision. I would say this is the most important thing. And in parentheses, I would say purpose. Um, I don't know if you knew this, but when I started when I started creating content online, it was actually back in 2016. I had a podcast that I had created. It was called The Planter, and very similar to Luxury State of Mind, but basically, I ran this podcast for 5 years, and the theme of the podcast was helping people, live out their purpose through faith, growth, and lifestyle. And I went through the process of doing this thing. I really thought that it would, like, take off, right? I thought this would be my full-time job. I was really into the, like, creator economy at that stage in life, and seeing a lot of other people being able to create full-time opportunities from what they're doing encouraged me. So I thought that would be the path that I would go on. But for 5 years, I did everything that could do with what I knew at the time, but it did not come to fruition as I thought it would, right? So you can imagine. I mean, I had delayed a lot of things thinking that this would work out. I mean, I didn't really get into a career until later in life because I believed that this was the path that I would be on. I put myself out there in many ways, but not receiving the results that I thought I would get. So after 5 years of running this podcast, through because of, I would say, burnout, I had to stop. And I was like, I'm not going to come back to podcasting if ever again. I feel like it had taken a lot out of me, and I just wasn't sure if this was something that I wanted to do again. And also the embarrassment too of, wow, like I had been, sharing with people, this is what I'm doing, and oh my gosh, like it's gonna work out, and it doesn't work out. So did that podcast, I stopped, but I just had a feeling that I needed to my voice, something about what I'm saying, speaking is important. I was always then like looking online for comments, for likes to affirm that I was doing something important. And maybe that's where you are right now too. Maybe you're looking online, you're trying to find reassurance through physical means, such as subscribers or likes or comments on whatever you are putting out there, where you feel like you're afraid they're not going to be, received. So that was not a good sign of those were not good indicators that, I was successful and whatnot. So I stopped the podcast, but I knew my voice was important. I knew that I could probably be doing something, but I spent, I would say, about 2 or 3 years just trying to live life, trying to bounce back, trying to just move forward and what I say, be normal. I wanted to be normal. I didn't want to have this the desires of I want to do something different. I want to do something greater. I didn't want a normal life. I didn't want this is just, I go to work and then I go home and then I just do that every day. Like for me, that has never been what I wanted. But after all that, that's exactly what I wanted. So I was doing that, and then in 2023 I was just starting to feel like I think I need to come back to this, you know, s- podcasting thing. And I knew it had changed over time. I knew that things had progressed since I had left. So I was kind of from afar observing what is going on in the online space and just kind of thinking that if I were to do it, like what would it look like and all those things. And basically, what started happening was people started talking about podcasting to me, about doing the podcast, about didn't I have a podcast? And, I actually have a whole episode on this. But long story short, one of the major factors or the indicators, a physical indicator that brought me back was, I was out of state at a party and somebody at the party came to me, recognized me from my previous podcast, and was like, "Didn't you have a podcast?" And she was the third person at that time who had been talking to me about podcasting in that state that I don't live in, that I don't know of, but people just keep bringing up podcasting and all this stuff. But anyways, that shocked me that somebody recognized me and she shared with me the value that I had given her and I was helping her on her journey when she was in college. And I was like, people actually listen to this thing? Like people were actually somewhat invested. They never commented. I mean, I would constantly ask, like, "Oh my gosh, like, what do you guys think about this? How do you feel about this?" Like, I would constantly be asking these questions, yet nobody was responding to my questions. So I felt that nobody cared. But here's this woman telling me that I had helped her on her healing journey and was creating valuable content. So that made me be open to the idea of restarting again and putting my voice out there and possibly thinking that maybe I have something of value to say. And maybe for you, you're always hearing that you have something valuable to say, or this skill set that you have is really interesting, it's really cool, it's really helpful, but you're just not convinced yet, right? And this is where the vision and purpose come in. So I did a fast. I talk about this all the time, how, I did this fast, normal fast. But I think I did a couple things differently this time around, basically using scripture to walk with me along the fast and whatnot. So I did it for just 3 days. And when I tell you that thing opened my eyes, like it's like God opened my eyes to learn more about the kingdom of God and how he uses our gifts and talents to spread the kingdom, that he uses the way that we've been made, our uniqueness, how he's fashioned us, how he's made us. That's such a Christianese term, but how he's made us, he uses those unique things to actually bring people to him. Like our temperaments, our the way we speak, our viewpoints, our gifts, our voice. He uses all those things to bring people to the kingdom, right? And it opened up my mind more broadly about how God operates in this world and how he moves and how he wanted to partner with me on this project or this process of creating this content. And it just like I had been dabbling like with luxury state of mind. I'd actually created the concept back in 2021 or 2020, but it took me about 2 to 3 years to finally put it forward. And it was really because I understood that this is bigger than me. So I would say that's the first point. If you want to stop hiding, if you want to stop feeling like, you can't be fully yourself, or your gifts and your talents don't matter, if you really want to overcome that, the first thing you have to understand, and this is what I understood, that this is bigger than me, that I'm not just doing this because it's just for me. Now, do I want some things out of it? Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. There are some things that I want out of it, but I understand and I show up because I realize that even if people don't comment, even if people don't subscribe or they don't respond to my request or my emails or whatever, there is something that they find valuable. And sometimes, if I have the opportunity, they tell me in person, which has happened multiple times. So, having vision, having purpose, realizing that what it is, that thing that you have been given to help, build the world, is bigger than you, and realizing it and taking it back to God and really trying to understand, like, how is it that this thing can be used past you? How does he want to use it? And that's what happened to me on this fast. I mean, it was like a crash course of like, oh my goodness, like this is bigger than what I thought. I want to like he's bigger than what I think, and I want to willingly partner with him to do what he's calling me to do, because people need this. This is just one of the tools. I'm one of the things he's using in this world to help people in my own unique way, which is so exciting. And for you, that's the exciting part. It's not anything that you have to create on your, or follow somebody else's footsteps. Of course, like wisdom and all those things, right? But it's you're creating something, you're doing something, the way that you speak, right? The way that you show up online, the way that you use your hands to create whatever it is that you do, it's unique to you, and it's you, and he's using it. So getting that helped me to understand, I got to stop hiding now. I must move forward. Okay. So then from there, it's like, okay, you get this revelation. Okay, I need to really work on what I know that is in my heart to do. I know I need to be like getting back to speaking online. I know that I need to just be out there again and put my voice out there. But then what happens? Fear. Fear of what are people going to think? Right. So, one of the things that I came back to or realized that if I did start creating content again, that I needed to keep in mind was I want to do video content because I realized from the time that I had stopped podcasting previously to the time I came back, video podcasting had, taken over. And I knew that that was going to be something that I needed to do. But I was used to podcasting audio only. It's like, yes, I spoke, I've done all those things, but how do I do this now on video? So the fear of what are people going to say? How will I be perceived? Is it going to be good enough? Especially if you are trying to get into the content creation space, or maybe you are in it right now, there's always this thing of, oh, I need the best cameras. Oh, I need this, I need that. Like, how will I, how will I do it? How will I like is what I'm gonna be creating, is it gonna be good enough? Is anybody gonna care? And I realized that in order for me to really stop hiding and step into my next level, my next phase, I had to not be afraid of getting on camera. I had to literally break that fear because I didn't want, because again, vision showed me that what I am being asked to do, what I believe I'm called to do is important. I didn't want anything to have a hold on me that would make me afraid to move forward. And one of those things was showing up on camera. And I remember I was in prayer one day and I, basically got this idea to do a 30-day like live I don't know if I would say like not trial, but challenge, a 30-day live challenge. And remember, this is somebody who's not really done video content before. Matter of fact, before I never wanted to be the face of anything that I wanted to do. I wanted to just be one of those people that create the stuff and then, it shows up online at some point, but my face is not really involved. That's where I used to be. So now taking that person and now wanting to put them in the forefront of whatever this is that I'm doing was nerve-wracking, but having that vision and having that, like, that I know, because I know you probably have. Sorry if you can hear that. I'm at home at the moment, so a lot of interesting things happening. But anyways, um, you have that I know that I know that I know I'm supposed to do this, right? But there's a fear that is stopping you from doing it. The second thing that will help you to stop hiding is you must tackle that fear head on. You literally have to tackle that thing head on. And for me, it was getting online on video. How will people perceive me? I'm scared about how I will be perceived. So what did I do? It took me a while. It's not like I just jumped up and was like, okay, I'm on, you know what I'm saying, get on live now. And then it took me 2 weeks. Like I really wrestled with that idea of doing this 30-day challenge. But I told myself that I don't want another year to go by. I don't want to enter, because this was actually at the end of the year of 2023. I don't want to enter 2024 and I'm still doing the same thing. I've learned too much information. I've received enough. And that's the thing, like, we've received enough encouragement. We've received enough, oh, you can do it. We've received enough. We've invested in classes. We've watched videos on YouTube on how to create the content, on how to be the speaker, of how to do XYZ. We've consumed enough. It gets to a point you must do in order for that knowledge to now become wisdom. And I wrestled for weeks But then I said, "I don't want this fear to hold me back. Let me just try." So on January 1st of 2024, I started going live on LinkedIn and on YouTube. I started going live every day for 30 days. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what am I gonna be talking about for 30 days?" Some days I talked longer, I had more to say, and other days it was just shorter. And in that, I was practicing showing up. I was practicing being consistent. I was practicing tackling my fear head on, to the point that by the end of the 30 days or somewhere in between, I was not afraid of being in front of the camera anymore. I was not afraid of what people would think of me. Whether people watch the videos, I mean, you can even look at the lives right now. They're all on my YouTube channel. Great content, I must say. They're all there, but it's not like I was getting hundreds and thousands of views. I wasn't even getting hundreds of views. Matter of fact, some of them don't even have past 3 views. But my ultimate goal was to introduce the podcast that I would be talking about. I didn't even have a date at that time yet of when I would launch the podcast, but I was trying to introduce the podcast that I was about to launch. But ultimately, I was trying to break the fear. And I did that by tackling it head on. Because now people are saying to me, wow, I mean, like, how do you show up online? Like, I need to, like, people who are doing way more than I am ask me this question. And it is because I trained myself to be able to do this. It wasn't I was born this way or I just knew how. Quite frankly, I'm the type of person who, if there's a room full of people, I don't actually want to say anything. I don't like always talking in public. Yes, I do speaking. Yes, I have a podcast, but you'd be surprised. Yapping my mouth is not my thing. I'm the type that I like to observe people. I'm very quiet in that way unless I'm like amongst friends or amongst people I'm comfortable with. So to do things like this is actually out of I would say my norm, but it is a part of who I am. And it required facing myself, facing that fear to be able to know that, oh, I can actually do this. And in doing it, and other things like getting in front of people, talking more and all that has actually pushed me to now do more things, to now hosting events. I mean, I was kind of doing that with the planter, but I wasn't doing it to this extent. I never thought it would get this way. And there's so much more that could actually be done, which is really cool. But like doing that or speaking on stages, it actually took a lot of convincing for me to believe that I was a speaker. I actually had a lie that I believed for many, 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 many years, that because I had to practice to speak, that means I wasn't a good speaker, which is so silly. But because I was around a lot of what I would say natural, quote unquote, natural speakers, and they just kind of spoke just straight up. And it looked like they didn't have to practice or anything, which I knew they didn't because I was hanging out with them. So I knew. And I said, wow, if they can do that, but I have to always be practicing or I always have to be preparing myself before I get on stage. And that means I'm not a good speaker. So I believed that lie for many, many years. But to see the trends, like how things have progressed, it's like if I faced my fears and faced these lies, then opportunities started opening up. So in 2024, I did that challenge, and then eventually it led to me doing the podcast. And my goal in 2024 was to just build the brand. I had no intentions of doing of it doing anything, going anywhere. Like I was just like, I just want to be obedient to what I know I've been asked to do. And I just want to keep building. I've been in this thing for a while. I knew consistency and all that is the game when it comes to building a brand. So that was my goal. And then to see the things that have been able to happen up until this year has been great. And even to see the event that I had the opportunity to put together, it all came about because I had been building a personal brand. The event did not happen and it was very discouraging at the time, but the fact that I went from somebody who couldn't or didn't want to show up on camera to now planning events for like 100 people plus. If you can stop hiding, if you can just move past the fear of will they say? How would they perceive me? What will they do to me? Or what will happen? If you can move past that, you generally don't know what will happen. You don't know what the future holds. And I'm saying this to you, and I'm saying this to myself too. There are times that even in doing this too, it's tough, it's difficult. I think when you are walking in what you're called to, you get a lot of resistance. And somebody said something to me yesterday that really encouraged me. It made me mad, and then it like also encouraged me at the same time. Like, you don't know what the plan for your life is. If you stop now, you won't even know what could be. And somebody asked me recently, like, what kind of gets me going and wanting to do all this stuff. And I use this phrase like it's the thrill of the hunt. It's the thrill of what could be. How far can we push this? Like, if it in all else for me, I just like to see what could be possible, and then execute on what could be. So for you, if you continue to not move forward or you continue to stop, you will never ever know what could have been. And what a sad way of living. And the same people that you're afraid of will ultimately be encouraged by you when you pop off. Okay? When you actually blow up, like the same people that you're afraid of, the same people that you're like, "Oh my god, what are they going to say about me? Oh, what are they going to think about me?" It's like once you really start doing your thing, like you won't realize the impact that you're making. You won't realize that, "Oh my gosh, like I'm doing something out here," if you don't try. People one thing I find really interesting about human nature is we will always discredit something new. If it's not familiar for us, it's like, "Ew, like what are you doing? That's so like dumb. That's so why are you doing that?" Like, and that's actually one of the principles I have for Luxury State of Mind, which is freedom of choice, empowering people, empowering women to be able to make choices in spite of social, pressures, familial pressures, all those things. Because when you actually do progress and the fruits of your labor are finally seen, those same people will come and want to support you, or they want to come around you, or they want you to teach them how they did it. So never bet on human nature to be your perimeter on, like what you should be doing, how you should be moving forward. Don't Human beings were fickle. But if you have a vision and like, I mean, had the opportunity to speak to some of you in person, and in your heart you're supposed to be doing something. And I want you to put that in the chat if that's you. If like, I mean, you're talking to me, like, I know I need to be doing something. I know what I'm called to do. Whether it's speaking, I mean, I've spoken to some of you, it is speaking. You believe you're called to be on stages. You believe you're supposed to be speaking to a certain group of people. Or maybe you're supposed to be building some kind of business, or you're supposed to be a makeup artist, or you're supposed to be building some type of brand. You know this to be true. But for some reason, you've been hiding in comfort or hiding in fear, hiding in the what ifs. What would they say? My encouragement for you today is that you would step out. You would do something new or different than what you have been. And that was my goal. I said, what would I usually do? And now what would be the opposite of what I would usually do? And that is how I started doing that live challenge. And then it led to the podcast, and that led to speaking engagements, and that led to events, that led to me creating an event for myself to launch my speaking career. The Joe Malone event was for me to launch my speaking career because I didn't want to wait for somebody to give me an opportunity. By the time that event happened, I had actually been pitching to organizations for months and nothing was breaking yet. Nothing was opening up for me just yet. But because I had built the courage slowly and slowly over time, I and then also following good advice, that is what propelled me to then create my own gosh darn career, you know, in speaking. So there's been a lot of points here that I've mentioned, but just to reiterate, would say the top two is in order for you to stop hiding so you can get to your next level that you are like, I just gotta get there. Okay? I know the way I'm doing things is not it for me. That's you, right? The first thing, vision is everything. Vision, parentheses, purpose is everything. Get a vision. And you don't have to like fight and like, I don't know, do 40 days prayer and fasting. Sometimes I actually said this, and this is actually one of my most favorite or popular lives or content that I've created when I said keep it light. Like people have actually come to me in person telling me that that was so impactful for them. Like not trying to force a vision or force what you should do next, but sometimes it's right in front of you. Sometimes what you're supposed to be doing, if you just relax and ask God to open your eyes, you'll see that, oh, it's right here. It's right in front of me. Right. So having that vision, understanding that basically what you're supposed to do is bigger than you. It's not just about you. It is way bigger than you. Way, 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 way bigger than you. And then number two, practice heading like on that fear head on or whatever it is that is blocking you from moving forward. You tackle it. You wrestle it down. Don't just be like coddling. Oh, well, it's like no, like there is work to do. There are things to do, and that is something that I feel like I'm called to when it comes to this audience. When it comes to people, because like many of you, and maybe you now, like going down a path that doesn't work for you, doing things that you don't care about, but is socially acceptable. So that's why you keep doing it. You're hiding. Maybe you have all the great things in life, but you're hiding behind those things because you are just like, if this is how like this is the only way that I can cope. But you know there's something more for you. My goal, my thing is to activate that thing in you. Because as long as you live more authentically and live in the way that you've been called to live, that is how God can use you to help other people. And you can live a fulfilled life. Like doing this, encouraging is like my second language. It's just what I do. It's who I am. So when I am have the opportunity to be in the spaces to do this, this is who I am. And this are the type of spaces and opportunities that I want to do and whatever avenues that looks like, you know? So that is how you can stop hiding. You have a vision and you keep practicing and practicing tackling that fear head on, tackling whatever opposition is in your way that is stopping you from moving forward. So I would love to hear from you if you're alive right now or you're watching the replay. Just tell me what is something that you believe that you would want to do or you know that you're supposed to be doing. And I also want to know, I've been asking this if you're on my email list and if you follow me on other socials as well, like Instagram, um, how could I help you? Like, if this really resonated with you, this content, this live, like, what could I help you with that will, or give you, or, whatever? Like, what could I do that will be beneficial for you? if you are interested in like continuing this conversation, I want you to put that in the comments as well. That interested or something, and I'll get in contact with you and we can set up time. We can talk, or we can talk in the comments, something. But I really want to know because there's so many of you out there that that have lived the life that I have lived. And I'm telling you, I want to prevent that from moving forward. Living just well, this is the way. Because for me, like, if you knew my story, I did the medical thing. I have 3 degrees, and I'm not using not one of the. Well, I'm kind of using communications, but I went to school. I went to school to be a doctor, and spent almost 20 years of my life going down that path, struggling my way through, and I still didn't become the doctor. But I ignored, the communication skills, the speaking, something that people have been telling me recently is I'm very charismatic. I feel very warm. All those things, right? Been ignoring those things, trying to pursue something to prove myself. But I don't want you to do that. So I want to be able to help you in whatever it looks like or whatever way that would be helpful for you to help you move forward. So don't want to take too much of your time. I want to say thank you for listening and being engaged on this live. Um, Follow Luxury State of Mind on all platforms. You can find the podcast where I have a whole bunch of other content on Apple Podcasts. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. You can engage with the content there. And if you want to talk with me personally, or if you want to be connected with the Luxury State of Mind community, where you can find out more on events and podcasts and all those things, you can join the email list, and I'll have that link in the description of this live. All right. So thank you so much for your time. I hope this blessed you and was encouraging to you. And I will speak to you next week for another episode of the Courage series. So I will speak to you then. Bye.